Blancpain has one of the most important dive watch histories in the industry, yet the modern brand rarely commands the attention of other brands like Rolex, Omega, even Tudor. And there's a new 50 Fathoms. Oh, I always want to say Basque, but I know it's Bathyscaphe. 70th anniversary, which it appears to address a lot of the enthusiast complaints. So it's historically faithful, genuinely compact, a great size, excellent movement, and is unmistakably Blancpain. But I feel like it also embodies some of the biggest criticisms I have of the brand and many of enthusiasts as well. So the big question for me is Blancpain finally getting it right, or is this just another mistake on their side? And we're going to talk about it today. Hello and welcome back to the Movement Podcast. I am Britt, and this tall glass of water over here is Adrian Barker. Adrian, how are you?
I am very well. I had a proper night's sleep last night, which was an absolute treat. And the sun's shining. It's been pissing it down for the past few days, but the sun's shining, so I'm happy. It's not shining. I'm lying. In my head, it's shining. It's overcast, but that's brighter than we've had for a long time. How are you doing? The cloud's
just a little bit further away than usual in Scotland. Just there's little pockets.
Little pockets of happiness.
Well, I can't tell you how opposite our lives are. I had a horrible night's sleep. I am so tired. I am so extremely tired. And every time I think I'm just going to get my life back on track again, I just do things to make my life harder. So I've recently joined a tennis club and I've committed to play tennis. I've never played tennis ever before, but I've decided that's the way I'm going to make friends. I joined a Pilates studio. I've never done Pilates. I've done it in my living room by myself, and my first class is tomorrow at 6 a.m. I don't know why I did it. It's I just do things. 6 a.m. I'm not a morning person. I have this idea of the person I want to be. And I commit to things that are in line with the person I want to be, but they're not the person I am. And then it exhausts me. And this is why I feel the way I feel.
I can so relate to that. Did I tell you about going to the gym? So I've joined a gym because I'm not in. I used to be in good shape, and I'm not anymore. And I went, and my lady goes to the gym fucking like 3-4 times a week. And so I joined a gym and I went to a class because I don't know what I'm doing at a gym. It's been literally a decade since I last went to gym. So I thought I'd join a class and try and get back into ease myself into it. And I joined the gym that went to this class, and there were maybe 8 other people there. Everyone was older than me, and a few people looked less in shape than me, which is saying something. And I thought, okay.
This feels like a great sign.
I'm going to be good here. I can do this. And it was just circuits. I thought, I can do all this stuff.
Circuits are hard. Anyways, keep going.
Fucking learnt that.
Circuits are hard.
So we're going around as like kettlebells and throwing these medicine balls up in the air and trying to hit these targets. And then, what's it called? It like had this big trolley thing. We used to do it in rugby where you push this sledge along the ground. And I thought, I'm really competitive. The problem is I'm competitive without any ability to back up that sense of being competitive. Yeah. I went in hard. I saw how hard these other guys were doing it. I thought, I'm better than these guys. I'm more fit than these guys. I'm younger than these guys. I can do this. I had to sit down after about 15, 20 minutes, and I nearly passed out. It felt like I'd been drinking all night, and I was in a nightclub, and someone had spiked a drink, and my head was spinning. And I thought, Agent, you can't pass out. This is embarrassing. This is... Mm-hmm. I've not been back since. And that was like 2 months ago.
So I see why classes felt like a good idea, but classes are actually really hard. And I'm exactly the same. I have this competitive edge to me, and I burn myself out in the first 10 minutes because I'm like, I need to show off. And then I get so tired. Yeah, been there.
It got to the point where I wasn't even trying to show off. I was just trying to keep up.
Just trying to live. Just trying to like not pass out. Oh, good grief.
Yeah, I feel that pain.
Do I spy an Explorer 2 on the wrist?
No, I'm wearing. Oh no, we're doing a different. I should probably change. So as we're talking about the 50 Fathoms, I'm going to wear my Swatch Scuba 50 Fathoms, which I think's a really good looking watch, actually. Outrageously priced. I can't remember how much these are. They're like 300 quid or something for a plastic.
I think they're near 5. I think they're quite expensive, those. I actually, hold on, let me fact check myself before I say
I remember getting to the till. I remember getting excited that they had one in. I remember getting to the till and thinking, oh, I didn't realize it was that expensive. And like, I never wear it out. It's not a watch that I grab. I honestly think it's a really good looking watch.
Yeah, they're £449.
That's outrageous.
So £450. Would it help if I told you it had a not replaceable movement? But
so I justified it because I thought, oh, I'll make content on it. No, I don't think I did.
I do the same thing, and the video makes £200, and I'm like, why did I spend so much money?
This is
it always makes
business.
sense in my head, but it never makes money.
Oh, it's fun, but yeah, I think it's a really good looking watch. I really like it. What have you got on?
Yeah, so I didn't think as hard as you did. I just have a few watches on loan from a friend, Mark's Watches on Instagram. He has an insane collection. He keeps trading in all of his stainless steel sports watches, all of his cool Rolexes that he liked a few years ago for teeny weeny neo vintage things. But right now I'm wearing his JLC, Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso.
Oh,
and
nice.
He's recently made it completely unsellable by engraving the back, and he's written so classy. He just wrote "fuck 'em."
I love
so got that engraved. And,
I think that makes it more sellable. If I was to buy a vintage watch, I love the idea of it being engraved. I think it makes it so much cooler, especially if there's something in your face like that.
I like it more the more specific and personal it is. Like if it's I hate Bradley or something, then I'm like, who's Bradley? I'll get really invested in the backstory.
I think we should start a trend of writing this outrageous stuff, non-sentimental, not like love you or my darling or shit like that. It's random stuff.
I want the pettiest thing, the pettiest, most specific thing.
Give me my bike back, Dave. Yeah. on the back or something.
And instantly, I'm on the side of whoever's watch this is. Whoever had this gripe,
Dave,
I'm
give
on
him
their
his bike
side.
back.
Yeah, Dave. I hate Dave.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh, so should we get into the beef of this episode a little bit?
Yeah. Have you got any news? What are you up to? You got anything planned? Oh, no, I want to talk about a video. You go first if you got something to talk about.
Oh, you want to talk about our personal lives, our real life, and not just our opinions. Yeah, I've had a really busy couple of weeks. So I am going to be in some watch thing in Esquire. I don't know when it comes out or what.
Oh, wow.
But a proper photographer was in my studio yesterday. That's why it looks a little bit different than usual. And seeing her work was amazing. I didn't realize how much real photographers make the set perfect and don't want things touching each other. She was a true professional, not like me, who turns on the camera and I'm like, good enough. So today, Omega sucks. And I just make, it was really amazing seeing someone so professional work. So I had that. And then next week, there's a IWC Patronus thing happening, which I instantly said yes to as someone who's a big fan of Formula One. But those are the only things in the calendar. And then I'm going to Canada and I'm so excited. Be with family, go swimming, jump off of boats. It's going to be awesome. What about you?
That sounds so cool. And about proper photography, there's a guy, fantastic photographer, Zach, shoots for fucking everyone. And him and I used to, he used to get at me on Instagram like 4 years ago. He was like, you're not a proper photographer. Oh, no, you're not a professional photographer. Oh, look, I think you find I get paid and I take photographs, so that makes me a professional photographer. Doesn't matter if I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. And then I look at his stuff, and his stuff is absolutely phenomenal. And funnily enough, so we used to argue on Instagram, but he didn't know who I was because it was on the Barker Jack account, and he had a different avatar and a different name. And then at Watches
Are you guys
and Wonders,
actually friends in real life?
we became friends not knowing who each other were. And so at Watches and Wonders, we were on this minibus going off to a Tudor dinner. And he had a Leica, and I think I had like my Fuji X100 or something. And we just started talking cameras, like start getting on, just chatting about gear and what we shoot, what we like. And I was like, what's your Instagram account? And then we shared Instagram handles. Oh, you're him. And it's like, oh, you're him. Oh, you're actually all right. You're just a dick online. It was a proper funny moment. So yeah. Where was I going?
People are
yeah.
so
What
funny.
So I did a video talking about Cameron Weiss from Weiss Watch Company in America, and the thumbnail had I titled the video something like a true American watchmaker, a bit of a jab at brands like Shinola, who say, "Oh, we're American made," but they're not. They're American assembled, but everything else is made elsewhere. Everything got so political. Everything got really angry. And I thought it'd be a really well performing video because I thought it was interesting because it's not an unknown watchmaker, but a smaller watchmaker, and he's pretty much a one man band who builds field watches in Nashville. But yeah, I found it interesting how everyone suddenly makes things political. Like I don't mention.
Was that the
political.
comment section that got really political, or?
Yeah, it was really weird.
I think America is just a little bit of a spicy topic right now. I think, emotions are running high.
I like to think that watches transcend all that stuff. It's I don't know. I guess I live in.
At risk of being a bit hyperbolic, it's a little bit like, I think if you posted a video on a super Russian company right now, and people said, "Oh, the Putin watches," or something like that. I just think emotions are a little bit high right now. It's a little bit touchy. And I know I'm touchier on the States than I've ever been before. I'm actually not going to say any more about that. We won't make this episode.
I found it interesting. I like to think that this thing, what we do, transcends religion, race, and politics, and all that bollocks. But maybe I live in a fancy world. Shall we talk about other fancy things like this? Really good looking, I think, but outrageously priced. Blancpain 50 Fathoms bathyscarf. I went to one of their press events for their. I can't remember what it was called. It was this really weird looking 43mm integrated strap watch. And it was, they put on this press event in London, flew down to London for it on my own money.
Wow.
And we were on a barge on the Thames, and it was a video link to the actual event in like the Maldives or something. And it was, there was a couple of cocktails, and we just watched a live stream of the actual event. Oh, I've traveled from Scotland for this shit. I walked out halfway through. This is such a waste of money. I wish they'd put in like, come to this event brackets. This isn't a real event. You're going to be watching a Zoom call.
So you flew from Scotland to sit on a boat and watch other people.
And the real event looked amazing. They were diving in some fancy place and taking. Oh, that was it. So the watch was for not saturation diving, like rebreathers. So it was for diving for like hours on end. And I remember Andrew from Time and Tide was there. We looked at each other thinking, "What the fuck is this?" Like I could literally be at home in Scotland making my own cocktails and having the same experience. I don't think I actually got a cocktail. I think they'd run out of cocktails by the time I'd got there. And they didn't have any watches.
You didn't even get a cocktail.
and they had one watch, I think, in a glass cabinet. That was it. I was livid.
Oh my goodness. That is like the premise of an episode of The Office. That is so funny. I also kind of have a Blancpain story, not quite the same. One year at Christmas, some addresses must have got switched around within the Swatch group, and Blancpain accidentally sent me all this Blancpain branded champagne that I think they were having at a big press event party. And
nice.
It got lost in the shuffle and it ended up with me. And it was crates and crates full of champagne. It was so much champagne I didn't know what to do with it. It could barely fit in my garage. And my husband was like, you should do the honest thing and give it back. And I thought,
absolutely not.
Does God hand you one of these free gifts? And if Blancpain said to me, hey, did you get all that champagne? I'd be like, nope. Don't know what you mean. But we did the right thing and we gave him back.
Oh, what the hell.
I know. I could have thrown the biggest party for everyone who was stuck on that barge and didn't get their cocktail.
Yeah, that's where the alcohol went to you.
But that's neither here nor there. They have just released a new watch, and there's a lot of good things about it. So if you're watching right now, hopefully a picture comes on the screen right now. So everything's pretty historically faithful. So it's 37.4 millimeters, 300 meters of water resistance, 100-hour power reserve, proper historical interpretation. It looks like it's literally from the archives. It looks like a vintage Blancpain and not a modern 50 Fathoms. But then the inside bits are all to modern spec.
Yeah. So it's based on a 1968 watch, I think it is.
Yeah.
This is 37.4, and yeah, it looks pretty much identical to that original watch. Both absolutely gorgeous. My initial thought was Blancpain has missed the boat on this vintage inspired dive watch. Even Tudor are moving away from Fotina, but it is just a good looking watch. I love the curved crystal. Love the very thin bezel insert. The handset is lush. It does look very similar to Seiko's, I can't remember the thing, SPG 153 or something like that. There's a small 39mm Seiko diver, and this looks very similar, but the price is absolutely insane. So it's 18,000. Is it 18,000? Yeah, $18,300, 14,000 pounds for a stainless steel small diver. I think it has good dimensions. So 37mm wide case, but it has 18mm wide lugs, and I feel like the lug width can increase or decrease the presence of a watch. And I feel like 18mm should be saved for dress watches. I feel like if anything is supposed to be have any sense of robustness, then I really feel like it needs to be 20mm lugs. And it's 12mm thick, 12.3mm thick, which I think is quite thick for such a narrow watch.
For the size.
Yeah. Although it does have the 100-hour power reserve, which means it's pretty impressive movement. But yeah, the price is absolutely outrageous, given that they have a normal-ish 50 Fathoms that's 38mm wide, still has a 100-hour power reserve, comes on a strap, stainless steel, and that's £9,000. So this is £5,000 more for a gold rotor, and it's limited to 300 pieces. I feel like this is, like you said at the start, they've got so much right, but also a lot wrong.
This watch feels like the living embodiment of how I feel about Blancpain. I like so much of it. My eyeballs see so much of it, and I like it, and it makes sense to me, and I would love to have a Blancpain in the collection. It's the more if you know, you know choice. And the big thing for me is always price point. Once again, I like so much of their design. I like what they have going on. But I feel like this might be too mean. I feel like they're going to be pricing themselves out of existence. I could be dead wrong on this, but I feel like they're supposed to be the enthusiast brand. It's not like Rolex. It doesn't have all the same marketing. Non-watch people, the muggles aren't as hyped up on Blancpain as they are about Rolex. Blancpain is the more enthusiast, if you know, choice. I have been to many of Red Bars. I don't think I've seen a Blancpain in the wild. I've been to many of press events. I don't think I've seen anyone wearing a Blancpain. And then even if I have, I would ask them if they paid for it. I don't think I've seen many people wearing these, / if any. And I feel like although they're positioned more as the enthusiast choice, they seem to invest in the things enthusiasts don't really care about. So the things that make the price point higher, like gold rotors, I don't think many enthusiasts are looking for that. The movements are beautiful. They're beautifully finished. The watches are beautifully done. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself here. They're not things that I want to be putting more money into. If you're on like a stainless steel Rolex kind of budget and you're looking for something that scratches that same itch, Blancpain could be that brand. They could fill that hole. But they decide to do gold rotors, and then it costs too much, and people think, I wanted something with historical significance. I wanted something with a solid design. If they just made like a good, reliable, solid movement that wasn't gold, I don't know. I don't know if I'm being too harsh on them though.
No, I echo everything you've just said. I feel like they've gone down this vintage-inspired route, charged a huge amount for it, and vintage watches aren't finished to the same level of what we have today. That they aren't built. The hands are flat hands. There aren't angles to polish in a high way to make it feel fancy. It doesn't look like a fancy watch. You have to turn it over to see any level of fanciness about this. And so I feel like this is a misstep from them by applying this price. I can see why they would charge this much for a well-finished watch, but I feel like it's, I don't know, someone's taken a battered old Defender and put in a really fancy interior. You have to open it up to see that fanciness. And so I kind of feel like this format doesn't make sense. I think it's a gorgeous looking watch, but yeah, the price just doesn't make sense. And I feel like if you want a fancy diver that isn't your Submariner, and has a bit more perhaps prestige, you could go down the Glashütte original route, which is significantly cheaper than this £14,000 diver. I'm with you around the gold rotor. It's not, and maybe this is either my budget speaking or the side of me that appreciates horology but doesn't really value it that much. I'd prefer for a cheaper watch without the gold rotor. I don't need it. It does nothing.
Yeah. And once again, we always come into this with our biases. I'm someone who loves a bit of horology, but for something that looks like this, the charm is the utility. The charm isn't trying to do the precious metals. I don't know. Maybe I'm too specific on category, and it's the way my brain works. Because I know there'll be a great many people who will say, I love the like high-low. I love the utility-looking front and the stealth wealth of the back. But for me, the charm would be the utility. If we're making something that looks like this, I don't know, it looks battered and old. Let's just have an old movement. But I know there is not an old movement, but it doesn't have to be all the bells and whistles. But I know there will be people who disagree with me on that as well. And I understand the pushback. That would just be my preference. Something, I don't know, more people could afford. I think a lot of people would be excited about the design of this. But yeah,
I, f-
I think it just highlights exactly how I feel about Blancpain.
I feel like they've already done the high-low thing, the rustic looking product that's in an expensive package, and that was with what they called the Act 3, the mil spec 50 Fathoms. That was gold but
Oh
brushed.
yeah.
That is an insanely good looking watch, and they put it on
It's
a
a
NATO
great
strap
looking
as well.
watch.
I that's probably my favorite looking 50 Fathoms, and I think it's absolutely great, and it's got grey on the dial, so there's zero to complain about here. And so I
All
feel
of your
like
favorite
they
colors were there. All of your favorite strap types were there.
yeah, this is it's scratched up, brushed gold. You got a matte black dial. You've got the big fat bezel insert, domed sapphire crystal, highly legible dial, a little bit of grey on the dial, and then on a NATO strap. I genuinely, if I had a shitload of money, this would be one of the watches that I'd try and get. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But I feel like that was a clever execution of high-low with the dive watch format, brushed metal, but in an expensive material. I feel like that's a massive win versus this slight misstep with this last one. And I think this is the last, what they're calling the last chapter, celebrating their 70th anniversary. Oh, it's interesting how much they've tried to milk this 70th anniversary.
It reminds me of when I used to work in retail and people would be like, my grandpa died. I can't come in again. It's like, this is the 5th time your grandpa's died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really do like this. So some of the first things that hit me was I thought it was a vintage watch when I first looked at it. So it has the older Blancpain even writing on the dial. The Fotina, I think, will be divisive. I kind of wish they didn't do Fotina and made it look how it would look if you bought it new in the year it's mimicking. But Fotina never does it for me quite as much. I assume it adds a kind of warmth that a lot of people will like.
Yeah, have I just done a video? I think I've done a video talking about Fotina. I think when it's done well, I do actually really like it, and I think the Fotina is done well here. Interestingly, I managed to find a shot of the case back of the bronze gold 50 Fathoms that we're just talking about, that Act 3. That has a steel rotor. And so they've got the gold case with a steel rotor, where this new version has a steel case with a gold rotor. And that Act 3 cost £32,700 on a NATO strap. I mean, I'd love a nylon strap, but that's
The superior strap choice, of course.
yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
outrageous.
and I don't want to like harp on pricing too much, but this $18,300, or I think it's about just shy of 14,000 Swiss francs. It's a weird psychological place for me to go into. It's a weird competitive category. You're no longer competing with the Rolex Submariner, Omega Seamaster, even Tudors, Breitlings. It's now entering. Oh, there's other things that money could buy. We're going precious metals now. We're going complicated pieces here. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could enter some serious other things and not a time-only steel dive watch on a leather strap.
Yeah, I agree. And it's
a niche place. It's a really, really niche place.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not in that niche place. But I need to emphasize how much I aesthetically like it.
Yeah, and me too. I think it's gorgeous. I really do. And I think it's fun to see Blancpain listening to a lot of what we ask them to do. We want to see this. Well, I like seeing this kind of styling coming from them, especially doing a slightly smaller case. I think maybe it's a bit too small for me. Not that I could afford it. But it's interesting for them to come out with something like this. But I think it's such a funny move. So that they make around 20 to 25,000 watches a year. This is limited to 300. 300 is quite a small amount, I think, for a significant brand. But then for a brand that only makes 20,000, I guess that's quite a large percentage of what they're doing. I feel like they need to come out with a banger of a normal watch. They need to come out with a sensibly priced production watch. That's the word I'm trying to find. So not a limited edition, nothing over the top, just something absolutely solid. They need their Nautilus, they need their Royal Oak. They have the 50 Fathoms, but it's always in funny, weird shit. So there's a massive dial with tiny little dots for hour markers, which I find a bit off. I find that their balance is on the dial is often wrong. And I would love to see them come out with something that absolutely slaps. And I'm thinking about the most recent updates to the Omega Seamaster. Omega go through so many iterations of the Seamaster, but I feel like the current version of the Seamaster they've absolutely nailed. They've gone back to the matte black dials, little texture on the dial, but it's very subtle. The no date. Gone back to alum, not entirely, but they have Seamaster with aluminium bezel inserts, and I feel like they're doing so much right with the offering. Whereas Blancpain, I feel often actually they could just do this 70th anniversary Act 3, just do that in steel.
Yeah,
and that would be incredible. 41.3 millimeters wide. Get it on a NATO or on a bracelet. I think it suits NATO's, but I just think that looks amazing.
It's so funny you say this because in my notes I wrote, I feel like they lack a clear modern hero product. And exactly the same as you. I think everyone will first jump to the 50 Fathoms. And it's not a wrong place to jump. I just don't think it is a compelling enough offering for enough people. And it just doesn't have the clear, obvious, this is the one everyone's going to buy. And this has the potential to be it. It's so close to being exactly right. But every time they get one that's exactly right, they'll make it some weird limited thing. Just give the people one nice, obvious choice. I am dying to add a Blancpain to my life. I would love to have a Blancpain in my collection. I just don't have a clear, obvious place for me to go.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it'd be a fun if watch collecting had a hierarchy or an upwards progression. I think a good looking 50 Fathoms would be a fun thing to add to my collection. To add to the Seamasters and the Submariners that I have, and add that as the next step up. I often see the Glasssuit Original CQ panorama dates too big for me, but I think that's a gorgeous looking introduction to horology tool watches, and the 50 Fathoms should be up there. It should be a significant player, and I feel like its heritage holds it up as being a significant player as opposed to the actual product itself.
Okay, I have a few questions for you right now. Going back to the loom, do you think it's charming or contrived?
The Fotina?
Yeah.
I think it's charming.
Ooh.
Because it's done right in my eyes. It fits the overall package. I feel sometimes watch brands add. So for example, IWC, they've discontinued their Spitfire range, so the Spitfire Pilot Watch and Spitfire Pilot Chronograph. They still have a normal Pilot Chronograph, but it's just a white dial. Sorry, it's just a black dial with white loom and a little bit of red on the dial. Gorgeous watch. I love it. But the Fotina of the Spitfire version added just a little bit more character to it that I appreciated. And it's kind of the same thing with the Black Bay 58. If you were to take the 58 and remove the Fotina, then I feel like it would look a bit too odd. They did it well with the blue because they removed the red and the extra details. But if they just removed the Fotina, then I think the white would look too clinical amongst the other touches of vintage character. And so in this instance, I think it works really well.
Okay. Next question. Leather strapped. Leather strapped, do you think it's correct aesthetically or absurd functionally? Do you think they should have done a bracelet or a NATO? Should they have prioritized form or function?
So I don't like I think it looks okay on the leather. I typically don't like the straps that brands do, having just said how good the other version looks on the NATO strap. But typically, I don't like the straps that brands do, because the straps, it's not an afterthought. It's not their specialization. And so I would buy this watch for the head and take it off the strap, and I would probably put it on a single piece nylon strap, or just on a different sort of leather strap. And I know people get upset about divers being on leather straps. That's how it started. The Italian Navy famously had their Panerois on leather straps.
Italians would. No, we need to be stylish first. And do you think 37.4 millimeters was the right...
What would you do? What would you do strap-wise?
It's tough. I think a NATO would be more right, even though it's hard, because the whole thing about this is being exactly faithful to this specific reference. Sure. So I think if the whole thing we're doing is being completely faithful, this is the right choice. I think the thing that would appeal to more modern sensibilities would be a NATO. NATO would look better to my eye, but that's just me. Once again, I'm just a little bit too deep in on this, but I think a lot of people will disagree. Next question. I have 4 questions. This is question 3. Do you think the 37 millimeters was the right choice, or should they have done 39?
For me, I would have gone 39. I think 39 covers so many bases. It's not oversized. It's not too undersized. I know some people say they can't wear anything less than 42, and there's always going to be people on the outside. But I feel one of the things that allowed the Blancpain 58 to be so epically popular was its wearability. It isn't an oversized watch. It can fit so many situations, and the 39 of the 58 allowed it to be just so wearable. And so I think 37.4, it is a touch too small.
I like the 37, but I sit in a very unique spot of having quite a small wrist. I have the Blancpain 54. Absolutely love it. So it's funny that you're talking about the 58 as well, because the whole reason I got the Blancpain 58 was that I wanted a more wearable diver. I loved the Rolex Submariner. I loved the way it looked. Wouldn't fit me in a million years. And then I was looking at the Tudor offerings. I loved the Pelagus, but it was too large for me as well. I loved the Blancpain at the time, but still too large. So the Blancpain 58 really scratched a big itch, and it made waves because it wasn't just for me. It wasn't just for people with teeny weeny wrists. A lot of average wrist size people, men, women, everyone loved it. It's why it became such a hit. The Blancpain 54 is more niche. I'm one of the people who loves it because it then makes the style I love even smaller, like just the right size for me. It doesn't make it comically small. It makes it just perfect for me. So I do like the sizing. I think 39 millimeters would have been more commercially wide reaching, and more people would have got excited over it. I agree with you though, in that if we're letting go of the 35 millimeter, which was the right choice, even for me, even as someone who does like these, it was the right choice for this genre in what you were trying to do. If we're already letting go of the original sizing, let's make it the most commercially exciting size.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
What's next? Is there another question?
My final question is, if this was priced the same as, say, a Rolex Submariner, what would you buy? Would you buy a Rolex Sub? Would you buy this Blancpain, or would you buy something different?
If this was 30, so I wouldn't, in the current state, I wouldn't buy either. I'm not actually a fan of the current offering of the Submariner. In a similar way to this would be a touch too small on me. I don't actually enjoy the current proportions of the Submariner. If this was in a 40mm case and the price of the Submariner, I would get this in a heartbeat over the Submariner.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm similar to you. I wouldn't really get either. I feel like I also have enough divers already anyways. I'm in a funny place with divers right now. I'd probably get a CQ. Even still, I think it's my
Yeah.
favorite. If I had that kind of budget, if I was playing between 10,000 and 13,000 pounds that I could spend on a serious dive watch, I think the CQ is the first place I go.
Yeah, I'd join you with that. The CQ panorama date's oh, you'd go with the CQ. So I'd go with the CQ panorama date if they're able to make that. And I think it's 42.5 or something. It's just too big. But if they could downsize that to even 41, no, I'd want it 40. And I'm obsessed with that watch. I think it's absolutely, the finishing is phenomenal. But you can see the finishing all over. It's not just looking at the case back. You can see elements. And the panorama date discs, that's just a sexy look. But the whole thing feels fancy. It's not, you don't have to flip it over to see the fanciness. It's just a fancy watch. But they're bloody expensive now. I think when I first got hands on, they're about 12 grand. CQ panorama date. I'd have to go with the two-tone. Oh, 14,800. Yeah, the CQ is just, it's such a good-looking watch. I'd have to go two-tone grey dial. I love it.
Yeah. It's maybe my favorite dive watch on the market right now. So I've had it through twice to review because I liked it so much. I asked Glashütte if they'd ever send me it again because I just wanted to review later and see if my opinion had changed. And I only grew to like it more. Like, I think if I had it, I would have no need of my tutors. I would just choose it over my tutors. But I would get the 39.5 millimeter variant. It's just such a unique watch. I think it's beautiful. It's so legible. It's so cool. It's unmistakable. It's if you know, you know. And to me, there's no compromises. There's no like little thing I would change. I don't know. I just really like it. Some people complain about the movement and the power reserve, especially with the CQ, so the 39.5 millimeter. It doesn't bug me that much. I just have no complaints with it. I have no real big, this would put me off it complaints.
I was wrong about this. The size. It's even bigger than I remember. It's 43.2 millimeters, which that is a big watch. And I know it's got those huge date discs inside, but still, it is sexy though.
I know you've reviewed the CQ. Did you do the smaller one or the larger one?
I did a 39 CQ.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I liked.
Sure
I thought it wore quite tall for the slim side that it is. So at 39, I think it sat quite tall. But also, I reviewed it at the same time as making a video about the panorama date, and I just completely fell in love with it, the panorama date version.
So we began this episode because we wanted to talk about this watch because we really liked it. It then morphed into whinging about price, and I'm concluding this episode by saying Glashütte original is the best. This has been an absolute journey.
But I think coming back to the idea of Fotina and vintage inspired and getting inspiration from vintage, but doing it in a modern interpretation, I feel like that the CQ has done that perfectly. There's quite obviously vintage touches within that lineup, but it doesn't look old. It doesn't look outdated. This watch has been around for at least 5 years. I did my video, I think, 5 years ago on it. And it's not changed. And I think it's as gorgeous today as the first time I saw it. And so I think Glashütte has perfectly executed that vintage-inspired dive watch that feels modern. I just wish I had bigger wrists and a bigger bank balance as well.
I could be wrong. The only changes I can think of, at least within the 39.5 millimeter variant, is positive ones. So I believe the CQ 39.5 used to have polished center links. Enough people complained about it that they removed it. And same with the case back. It's now available in, I think you can choose between a closed case back or a display case back. And if you bought it when it was still a closed case back and the option didn't exist, you can still send it into them and they will make it a sapphire case back for you if you'd like.
See, I really like Glashütte. I had a couple of criticisms about their stuff in my video. and they thanked for the feedback. And I love it when brands are like that. Whether or not they listen, that doesn't matter. It's them having confidence in what they're doing. I think that's cool. I'm gonna have to have a look.
They strike me as a brand that actually listens. I think they actually listen and they make changes due to the feedback. I just have so much respect for them. And it's hard because I always try to find complaints for videos, or else people think it's really biased or they've paid you. But sometimes it just really is. I quite like this, and I can't find a fault. I will try to highlight things that I think other people might find as a fault, even if it doesn't bug me all that much. But it's just one of those watches I can't find many, if any, actual faults.
And I struggle. I know exactly what you mean, wanting to try and find faults to prove that a video is not sponsored. But I feel like that in itself then creates a bias of I have to complain about something because a perfect watch doesn't exist, and there will always be something to complain about. And so I struggle with that. I feel like I have to find something negative to moan about. Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a future episode, but I think the perfect watch can exist, maybe. There are some watches I just have no complaints about. I have no notes. Looking at you, Cartier Tank. Looking at you.
Yeah, I think that could be watches that are close to perfect.
That's an episode. That's another episode, though. That's not this one. I think I've said everything I can say about this one. How are you feeling? Is there any last things you want to put in here?
I think Blancpain need to watch this back and take note, and they can hire us as consultants if need be, and help them out with turning their company around. Imagine that. Article in Watch Pro saying Blancpain hire Brit. An Asian bucket.
I don't know, make it cheaper and stop using all that gold. It's true, though. Heritage. It's true. Yeah, I stand by everything I said, but yeah. Anyways, let's let these fine people escape our voices. This whole episode was really birthed out of really aesthetically liking this. I always feel like Blancpain is so close to getting it right, but there'll just be one thing that's big enough that it's not right for me. But we would love to hear from you guys. What do you think about this newest release? Does it speak to you? Do you think there's something off the mark? And just about Blancpain in general. I don't know. Let us know.
You're so good at this job. I'm so glad you're co-hosting this podcast.
I'm actually not.
You're fantastic.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We love you. We think you're awesome, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye, guys.